sometimes people say, you pray for me. Or I'll be praying for you. And take it to God in prayer. And prayer changes. We just hear things about prayer. And, you know, y'all pray for me. No, I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm asking. I'm just using the phrase right now. Because I don't run around asking people to pray for me. I need to know, do they have the hookup? So I very rarely say specifically to someone, you pray for me. Because I don't want Hoochie Coochie and everybody else praying for me. I don't want who knows who praying for me. Because I don't know who they praying to. So I don't say pray, because they may pray to their, quote, God, who might not be the one I know. So I don't want them getting me mixed up with somebody else in that regard. So when you're talking about this thing of prayer, why even bother? Why even bother? I mean, why bother? You have to ask yourself, why even bother? You know, this stock market thing the other day just messed them all up when they started going, taking it, and then you found out what's really behind the stock market. When they didn't want the little people to win. Then they changed it. It's like the lottery. You know, the lottery, they'll let you go in, they'll let a couple of people win something, and then they'll take it from the rest. That's why it's so illogical, and that's why you don't function by logic, because it's so illogical that everybody thinks they're going to win the lottery. Yes. Everybody who goes and buys a ticket think they're going to win. Yes, now, how illogical is that? If everybody won, it would be nothing. Nobody would have anything, because they'd have to split it who knows how many ways. But everybody thinks, I missed it by a number the last time. I'm getting closer and closer. Closer. And it must be my time. And then make a deal, sometimes cut a deal with the Lord. Lord, if you just show me. I'm going to bless everybody. Everybody. Everybody I owe, I'm going to pay them. Folk who need some, I'm going to give it to them. Lord, you just let me hit it one time. I promise you I won't waste it. Yeah, okay. All right. One time. I promise I won't play no more after that. After that. I won't have that. Just one time. I don't want to win it, but one time. One time. And then some folk get to scratch off and get their $2 or $3 and they ain't mad. And you did get it. You know, you did win. Just wasn't what you wanted. Just wasn't what you wanted. And so many times people are, quote, praying the same way, hoping that they hit the lottery, that this time God will answer, because he didn't answer before. And then you hear these songs like, if he did it before, then he'll do it again. You know, if I see, it's like, I love musical lyricists oftentimes are so messed up with some of their stuff. If he did it before, he can do it again. But what did he do? Time tripping. Nice brother, but you know, he throws some stuff around there sometimes. But what did he do?
He goes on to say,
yeah, he does.
Well, you know what he should have done? He should have made the hook say it. Come on now. I guess you say, man, you be cutting up everybody. No, I'm just telling you the truth. Just telling you the truth. So you say, why bother to pray? Now, in some of the cases, you really don't need to. You don't even need to. In fact, you need to leave it alone. Unless a certain thing happens. Praying is a waste of time. You could you could do something else. And I'm going to turn it over to the Lord. Really? Were those just words? Because there's a visual that we want to show you, and then we'll walk you through this passage. Would any of you all trust me? We're just talking about lottery. Would any of you all trust me with some money? And that, I want you to trust me with some money. And here's the deal. Now. I want to use it to go make more And no. I thought you all just said you trust me, right?
Yeah,
Now all of a sudden when I said that,
we don't want to. You're gonna let somebody live, and the Lord gonna give it back.
so
You said you want to make some more?
yeah, I make some more. Make some more. But I gotta have this to make some more.
You're gonna put it in the kingdom.
I have to have this to make some more. That's a possibility. That is a possibility.
Some dice?
Yeah, you see, Dewan making sure he getting all of it. See? he getting all of it. Now, just think about this. The reality is, now, in all honesty, you're going to have to ask yourself, why don't you trust me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You got to ask yourself, why wouldn't you trust me?
Yes, sir.
I mean, that's what you have to ultimately ask. And then sometimes you got to understand that when you don't have money, you could put in another item of value. Hello, we kind of want to make sure it's giving everybody an opportunity. Something of value. If you take off one of your shoes, whatever the case might be, something of value. You put a sock, take a sock off, whatever the case may be, something of value that you give. Because unless it has value, look, and I know Gwen wasn't gonna give no money because she think I'm gonna give it to her. See, she's right here. See, are you following what we saying? See, something of value. You follow me? See, something of value. Something of value. Pam ain't turning loose nothing. She's sitting over there hugging her purse, hugging everything. She's squeezing it. You follow? Finally.
Pam, you should have done that. That's going home with us.
It takes a thief, right? That's exactly what we're talking about. Because the reality you have to ask, why wouldn't you trust me?
Yes, sir.
Now you got to build a case as to why you shouldn't trust me with what I asked you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's for you all to decide. Well, I ain't trusting you because of what? At what point have I shown myself to not be trustworthy? At what point can any of you say, I've not shown myself to be trustworthy and to follow through on everything you hear me say? Can you think of anything? Have any of you experienced the fact that I have not followed through on everything that I've said? Isn't that deep? Because the history, the track record tells you there's a pattern of consistency and delivery. Every time, and God says, I've been doing it forever. He said, I've been doing it before you even knew that you were. I've been consistently doing what I said, because Isaiah 55 said my word can't return void. It will accomplish.
Yeah.
So this same God that oftentimes we're skeptical about is because we really don't trust him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So when you start talking about going to pray, now here's what I'm going to do. For everybody who put something in, I'm just going to put.
Yeah. Hold up, I got $1. Let me put one in right
And
now.
so for everybody to put something in, there probably might be at least another 20 for whoever put something in here. So you can come back and get whatever you put in here. See this? You see, you never know, right? You see, there. Just take that. Just take the 20. Take. If you put something in, take a 20. Now if you put something in, take a 20. Now if you're putting it in for both of you all, then you need to. No. You up here. It was just you putting it in.
It was just yours.
Yeah, so you might well put that back in. It was just you putting it in. You can't give for them.
They gave me the deal.
No, you missed the point. You're trying to explain something away. You put it in. I know Tawanda did. No. This is important. See, now you're saying God don't bless me.
No.
Okay, now you follow us in. That's a whole nother story. Take at least the 20 that you didn't put in. So Pam, you already got yours, right? Okay, did you get, okay. James has already been up here. I don't know where he coming back from.
I came.
No, James took your phone and the money. And so you need to take one of the 20 right there. Okay. All right, so that's it. So now you've been up here before. You've already been up here. Shoot. You've already been up here before. Okay, so who else?
I thought about putting some money in.
Well, that's a thought. Nice thought. That was a good thought.
His expectation was off.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So who's missing something? So Dewan is perplexed. You brought some up for Donna, right?
And Tracy.
Okay, come back and get it. Come back and get it. Now, but what you got to understand, in being a carrier, you only represent yourself. That's a principle.
I just learned.
Yeah. That's
I
a principle.
just learned today because
Yeah.
I like to bless people.
Yeah. The principle is.
Help them get blessed.
Okay. All right.
Help them get blessed. Here we go.
All right. All right. Now, okay, you say where is this going? You gotta keep in mind the process. So we're gonna first go to Psalm chapter 20, verses 7 through 9.
Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord our God. They have bowed down and fallen, but we have risen and stand upright. Say, Lord, may the King answer us when we call.
Do you notice what he said? May the King answer us when we call, but some trust. We want to take that word trust and change it to deposit. Deposit. When you deposit, notice what they said. Some trust in that, but we will remember the name of the Lord our God. When you deposit in him. So think about this. If you had a request and you was taking it to God's depository in order to say, God, I want you to handle this. When you go to a bank, you make a deposit and you leave it with them. You don't walk in, make a deposit, and walk out with it. You sign off to say, I am leaving X, to say that this is what stays here, and you leave X. And then you go entrusting that institution to carry out what is supposed to be with what you left. And you just leave. You're gone. And oftentimes we're not depositing our request to him. We go into the financial institution with the resources, take a good look around, see what all the options are, and then leave. In the same state and condition and level of resource that we were before we walk in. In other words, it was no benefit. Nice talk, told us about all of the possibilities, but we left no better off than before we had gone in. And so when it says some trust in chariots, some trust in that, some put their trust or deposit themselves. And here he's saying to us, what have you come to me with and left with it? Because you refuse to deposit it with me. What have you come to me talking about? And you were not serious, because when the conversation was over, when you said what you wanted to say, and I said to you, and you left after just having a conversation and didn't make the deposit, and we talked about it, and you left the same way that you came. Why bother to pray? Why bother? Because he said, what's the point? You could have been doing something else, because you did not make the deposit for me to change, to make you better, because you left it with me. And he says, I'm the only one that can. You can't. And so just talking to me and letting me talk to you doesn't mean anything if you don't make the deposit.
Right.
Now, how many deposit slips are you walking around with that you put a number on and you never deposit? But you got the slip.
Yes, sir.
So listen in Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct
So
your
notice
paths.
it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Deposit. So in other words, you empty what you no longer, get it, you empty what you don't need in order to get what you don't have.
Make it plain. Make it plain.
Because the only way to get what you don't have, you got to empty what you don't need. Oh, isn't that deep? Whatever it was that was troublesome to you, whatever it was that you wanted God to move and intervene on, that you don't need. Otherwise, you will never be having a conversation with him. Whatever it is that you're saying, God, I want to release this to you. God, I want to trust you with that. God, I want you to say, okay, well, I got to get that to get you this. Whatever you say you want or need, it's got to be you're getting rid of that. Because that's got to be out of the way. You got to have a renovation of the heart in order to receive what he wants to put there instead. And your heart is the same if you hold on to what you say you want him to intervene on, but you have to make the deposit. To say, I no longer have it. And then he say, now that I got that from you, this is what I'm going to give to you instead. He has promised in Matthew 11, 28 through 30, come unto me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you. He says, in turn, I'll give you rest. And he says, take my yoke upon you and learn of me, and then you will find rest for your soul. But he says, you must give that to me, deposit this to me, and this is what I'm going to give you instead. But if you don't give that to me, then you will not get this. He said, I can't give you. You can't walk around with your stuff and my stuff.
Yes, Lord.
Some's got to go.
Yes, Lord.
He said the only way you can receive from the kingdom, you got to release the earthly.
Yep.
Cares are earthly because they're supposed to be elevated spiritually, because he said, give me that so I can give you this.
Amen.
He said, you never get this unless you give me that.
Yeah.
He said, if you don't give me that, you can't have this. Now, I know you say you want this, but you don't want it that bad
Right.
because you won't make the deposit
That's
to
right.
get rid of this. Oh, man. Oh, hold on. Isaiah chapter 26, verses 3 and 4.
You will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you, because he trusts in you.
Notice what he said. This peace, he said, God, my mind, I don't rest. My mind is troubled. I'm overloaded. I'm doing all of these things. And he says, notice what I'm going to give you now. Perfect peace. In other words, nothing missing.
Amen.
He said, this is the ultimate peace. Philippians 4 says it another way. It said, peace that surpasses all understanding. So he said, I'm going to give you supreme peace,
Supreme peace.
whereby you won't go looking for another form of
Ooh,
peace.
yes. Thank you, Lord.
Because he says, I will keep you. He said, keep you in perfect peace. If you don't lose sight of me.
Come on now.
He said, if you don't lose sight of me, you don't have to worry about peace.
Right.
Because it can't go nowhere.
Amen.
If you don't lose sight of me, now if you let something else throw you off, my peace can't stay. It's the reason why my peace can't stay is because you're trying to add
Right.
something to it,
Right.
and it's already perfect.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
That's good.
Notice what he said. I'll keep you in perfect peace because he deposits in you. And you notice what he said? Because. He said because. The reason why it is because you made the deposit. Like God, when he says, 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 8, cast your cares on him because he cares for you. Psalm 55:22, cast your burdens on the Lord and he will sustain you. In other words, he's still saying, cast, make your deposit, and then you're free. Now, go to verse 4.
Trust in the Lord forever, for in Yah, the Lord, is everlasting strength.
Right. Trust him. In other words, don't stop. So in other words, every time something else comes along that you don't need to have or you don't need to hold on to, make the deposit. And he said, I've been waiting on you. We don't have banking hours. We have eternity hours, which means anytime you can show up and you don't have to stand in line. He said, all I want to know, are you ready to make the deposit? See, they thought they was doing something by letting you do it on your phone and you can scan and do it electronically.
Right.
God said you don't even have to go that far. All you need to do is say, God, something else. I'm never closing my deposit. Here's something else I want to add. And he said, thank you. Let me give you this instead. I'm about to free you for something else.
Amen.
So this won't be distracting you.
Hallelujah.
So this won't be, he said, I will keep you in supreme peace,
Hallelujah, Lord.
which is the best that it can become.
Yes, Lord.
So this is so good. Philippians 4 said, you can't even explain it because it goes beyond understanding.
Yeah.
You can't explain it. All you know is that you're walking in it. All you know is like, oh, wow. It's like, oh, that don't bother you? What? What are you talking about? It's gone.
Right. Amen.
Okay, last passage. Matthew chapter 7. Verses 24 through 27. Now, did somebody come up short? Somebody come up short? Now, she's pointing the finger at you. So did you come up short, Brother James? She pointed the finger at you. So what's the deal?
Mm-mm. No.
No. You should have had more than you put in.
No, I didn't say it.
Okay. So what do you? So what do you?
I got the same amount.
I did
Tracy
too.
did too.
Yeah,
That's what I
y'all
put
came
in.
up short then. That's who came up short.
Okay.
That's the department, that's all
All right. Okay.
No, I left mine.
I didn't pick up nothing.
Okay. So you all gave it back.
Yes, sir.
You helped me to understand.
Yes,
See, we
sir.
we don't want you to come up short.
Yes, sir.
Okay, are you understanding?
No.
See, we want to make sure. You ain't be calling me no thief. Y'all follow what I'm saying? So that's the reason why we not. So now, are you following? If you chose to, that's different.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I showed.
But you can't say I didn't say take it.
Exactly.
Now you follow me?
Exactly.
So I put the rest of it back in my pocket, and that's what I do. That's kind of how I do it. Then we'll settle all. See, we'll just settle all of that. See, that's just be the end of it. I just want to be. I just want to be sure. Now I know some people out there watching saying, "I wish I was there." Well, you ain't. Okay, back over here.
Come to church.
That is correct. Okay, Matthew chapter 7. They said, what kind of church is this? Peace, where we make deposits. Back Matthew chapter 7, verse 24 through 20. Now listen at this, and this is where we'll stop.
Therefore, whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain descended descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house. And it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock.
Okay, stop there for a minute. Notice it. Whoever hears what he said and says, oh, I'm living this one out. He says, stability is ensured. A stable life is ensured. Because it's on the rock, locked in, can't be moved. He says, as a result of that, he said, if you hear this, if you get a hold of this, if you practice this, you are rock solid.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Rock solid. Because it doesn't matter what comes, you're able to deposit.
Amen. Yes.
The deposits, now get this, the deposits are designed to make room for
Hallelujah.
what you didn't
Come on
have,
now.
what God will put in.
Yes.
And here's the
Yes.
deal. Now, if you limit him, then you'll miss his overflow because he always floods. Because when he says in Luke 6 that you give or deposit, then he says, he said, they'll thought, hold on, let's go there. Six things like that. Go to Luke chapter 6. And because it's important to see what he said. He said, when God starts doing something, it's past what you thought. Sometimes you want to say, stop. Don't you know when he had the disciples and they had to tell them, he said the boat was too light. The boat was too small. And that they had to call for help because it said he kept on and he kept on. Start verse 38. Verse 38 of Luke chapter 6.
Give, and it will be given to you.
Yes.
Good measure.
Notice this. Keep going.
Pressed down.
The only reason you press something down so you can make more room for something else. You know, when you package something, you put it down, you mash it down so it can make more room until it's almost airtight. And it's more than what should be in there, but room is made. Now keep going. Just start all over again.
Give, and it will be given to you. Good measure. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over.
Now you notice this. Right here, good measure.
Come on.
Press down. And when you shake something together, you're adding more than one thing. Because you don't shake water just to shake water.
Right.
You got to have something in it. Otherwise, what sense does it make to shake something that will stay the same way? So you only shake something that has something beyond itself in order to make it come together to be different than it was independently. So in other words, he said, it comes from here, it comes from there. He brings a little bit of this, he puts a little more of that. Keep going.
Shaken together and running over will be put into your bosom.
In other words, that they will be given. It'll start coming from places that you don't even know. It just starts showing up. God starts doing stuff because he's the only one that knows what all the sources are. We're restricted to what we know. And he's like, he could turn something up, turn something around, and start adding all of that in from places you didn't know. From places you didn't know. Keep going.
For with the same measure that you use, it will be measured back to you.
Somebody sent me a gift card. They just sent a gift card. They just sent it. Now I got to go redeem it, but they just sent a gift card. They just said, "Hey, here's the card." I didn't do anything. They just sent it. They're nowhere around here. They're on the border between Illinois and Wisconsin. They just sent it. Because he said, shake down, running together. I'm going to start doing stuff. I'm just going to start doing stuff. Go back to Matthew chapter 7. In other words, God said, I want you to show you this. All I want you to do is make a deposit. If you make this deposit, I got something coming your way.
Amen.
He said, I got something coming your way. He said, every time you make a deposit, you'll never leave from me with less than. It'll always be more than. And And whatever it was that you thought was significant, you'll realize it's insignificant by the time I finish with you for having made this deposit to me. Your life will not be the same, and you will not want to go back to what it was before you made the deposit. That's the deep thing. He said, you won't miss it. In other words, you'll be wondering what took you so long. You're like, what in the world was I thinking walking around and did not make the deposit?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay, get back over there. Back over there. Start at verse 24 again. We're going to work our way through this and then we're done.
Therefore, whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house. And it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock.
Now that really is talking about life challenges, life circumstances. Who knows what's coming, how long it's going to last, when is it going to come? Notice it's coming, things that happen. And it says whatever it is that happened, make the deposit.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
And he said, I'll stabilize you. If you make the deposit, when you're rocking and reeling and you all over the place, he said, make the deposit and I'll stabilize you. He said, I'll speak just like I spoke to the wind. Peace, be still.
Yes.
He said, I'll stabilize things for you, like right away. Verse 26.
But everyone who hears these sayings of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it fell, and great was its fall.
So it's like, which one do you want? It's like, you can crash and burn. That's the option. Or you can be solid as a rock. You can crash and burn by not making the deposit. Inevitably, you'll crash and burn. Basically, that's what it boils down to. You hold on to what you should deposit, and it will overwhelm you.
Ooh, that's good.
You're done. When he said, the longer you make, the more overwhelmed you become, because it starts to give you the beat down, just like it said. Because what it is, you're walking in quicksand, spiritual quicksand, and it's just a matter of time. You'll become worse. And he said, all you got to do is make the deposit. He said, and you're free. You don't have to deal with any of that. In fact, it's gone. I got it.
Yes, sir.
He said, I got it. That's what God said. So he said, whatever it is that you're struggling with, whether it's financial, whether it's people, whether it's things, whether it's circumstances, all this stuff, whether it's anguish, whether it's work, whether it's environment, I said, make the deposit. He said, you're mine. He said, didn't you know that you're mine? And he says, Luke 12:32, fear not, little flock. It is his good pleasure to give you the kingdom. He says, I want to do this, but you have to make the deposit. In other words, the deposit allows you, guess what it does? It allows you to draw down as needed.
All right.
And it will always exceed what you deposited.
Yes.
Amen.
And then the other thing you're able to do, you can become a depositeer and teach other people how to do it.
That's right. All right. That's right.
Because now you can say, let me show you what I've been doing. Because they look at you sometimes and say, how can you be so much at peace about this? And I know what's going on in your life. He said, come here, let me tell you something. Here's why. It really isn't me. It's because I made the deposit. Are you interested in knowing how
Right.
you could be in the same place? Because it's never full. There's always a vacancy.
Yes.
Amen.
God always says there's room for somebody else who want to get on the train and roll.
Yeah.
They made it come on ride the peace train. Now, maybe that's what it was. But in that, in other words, it said, lock in. Lock in.
Till 6, you'll leave the light on for you.
And you know what the reality is? He'll let you stay out there and freeze if you keep up. He'll let you stay. He said, oh, you don't want to? I'll let you have it. Because I'm not going to force you to. Be a recipient
Yes, sir.
of what only I can give. It can't come through any other source. It only comes to me, and it's one way you have to make the deposit. He said, once you do that, it already shifts. Everything starts moving in the other direction. As soon as you do this, before you can even close your mouth, he starts pushing back the other way. The transfer is already started. As soon as you make the deposit, the transfer is started, and he's raised you up to another space to say, what you thought was it, I want to show you something else that's about to happen. I'm going to start moving, because the key what God does, he will change you and your whole view. It's some things that you'll be able to see that you have not seen after you make a deposit. The way you looked at some situation, they don't look the same anymore. In other words, he changes your lens.
Amen.
What you thought about some other people before, you don't even think that no more, because you know what? They're irrelevant now.
Yes. That's right.
They don't mean the same thing.
Amen.
Oh,
Yes, Lord.
oh, hey, this life, this, you make your deposit, and just like I said, come back and get this. That's how God does it. But I'm just human. I'm just human. God does stuff.
Yes, he does.
He does stuff. This peace that you can't pay for frees you. It frees you. I mean, it absolutely frees you.
Hallelujah.
Well, you know, it's too bad we got to go, but we got to go. You know, that's just kind of how it is. Because we can keep on going, but we got to go. So our time is up.